Welcome back to the Extra Medium channel, where I put my extra medium skills on display for everyone to giggle at. So this week, I've already started on the work and I forgot to bring you along and film any of it, but I'll show you what I've done so far. Got these fancy new bolts, the pinch bolts, little titanium ones with the holes already drilled for safety wiring, which is fantastic. And I did do the safety wires on those as well. And then on there. Last episode, finished up the mounting bracket for pretty much everything. And so in this episode, I put the tank on. Like I said, I started it up and I'm starting on an airbox to fit inside of here. Since I have everything up front, nothing lives back here, which is exactly the way I wanted it. That gives me freedom to make this airbox as big as I want going toward the back. So I'm just starting with a cardboard template and the OEM tubes just to kind of position it. I'm gonna build a bunch of cardboard and then I don't know whether I'm gonna make it out of carbon or whether I'm going to make it out of aluminum, but we'll see. But I'll bring you along for this, I promise. So here's what I'm looking at is basically the entire subframe. I want to make it into the airbox. And so I just cut this template, you can see basically in the shape of the subframe to fit underneath it and within it. And bring it back like this and then expand as it goes further down. Meet right up with where the frame bottom is. And then a little piece in there to connect to the faceplate and then mix sides. That's kind of what I'm thinking. That should work pretty well. Up top, I have the option of bringing this up further than that. I think that's where I'll basically use this volume up here as my inlet. I think that'll be good. Either that or I'll put the inlet back here. I'm not sure which will be better. Or I could put the inlet up here. Interesting, huh? Okay. So I've made an extension here. I'll glue that on and make that go all the way up. I'm gonna make it as simple as possible, I think, and then add complexity once I get the main shape secure. That way I'm not trying to insert complexity into a mold or a cardboard model that will be hard to replicate in a solid structure. So I'll make it as simple as possible first, and then I'll add complexity after I get the main structure built. Here's where I currently am. So I'm going to make a bottom filler piece for right there. That way I can mark the outline. Then I can get the sides done. So hard to film this so that you can see what's going on, but I'm doing my best. So I've marked where the top intersects it, where the bottom intersects down there as well. And I've shown myself where the walls go up. So just drawing a straight line between those two marks, I'll have the sides. It's all sealed inside. I'm gonna let that silicone kind of set up, and I'm going to use that as a mold and make the whole thing out of carbon. Now that I have the box all cured and molded up, I've got some release agent inside of there. And as you can see, I have all my carbon kind of cut into the proper sizes. I really just want to get at least 2 layers in and get that a little bit cured and tacky. And I'll go back in with some additional layers on the inside to provide the support that it needs. It's not really a structural item, but I just do want it to, keep its shape. So the airbox is solid now, so I'm going to trim the edges since I have this as a template. And then I will peel off the mold. The best mold release I've ever used. And you want to know what it was? Better than PVA, better than Canuba wax, better than any of that other stuff. Let me show you. Ready? That's right. Movie theater butter flavored spritzer from Colonel Seasons. Anyway, it worked really well. Out. Since it was on the inside instead of on the outside, gotta account for the thickness of that cardboardy type material, and also since this was made on the inside of the mold, I have to account for the thickness, so I need to cut the faceplate by a little bit. And instead of doing all the measuring and stuff, I just put it on top of the faceplate and measure it. Done. Kept them all on that side. Now I'll just cut this out and then transfer it to a piece of carbon Kevlar. Now to see if it fits like I wanted it to. Oh yeah. That's perfect. It is rather difficult to do a 90-degree bond like that. I've seen on Builder Creator where he has laminated it in different ways. I kind of took some of that and used it to at least get it put on there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this chop strand carbon and go ahead and just basically fill in, kind of like a carbon caulk. As you can see, I've added additional layers here for where the fasteners will go through and attach this to the subframe. it looks like all of the patchwork was successful. Now I'm going to sand it down, and this should be ready to go on. So now with the airbox mounted in here and the boots on, I can tell how far back it's exactly going to be. So I'm going to utilize those extra reinforcement spots that I put in and drop down some tabs from the subframe for attaching the airbox to the subframe. I'm happy with where that sits right now, and it's all lined up to where the brackets will hold it in place. This is the final resting position of the airbox. And as I mentioned before, I wanted to make it simple first and then add the complexity after I get the main thing fitted. So as you can see here, I've got a lot of space in between the top of the airbox and the bottom of the tank. So I'm gonna take advantage of that. I'm gonna make a template to increase the volume of the airbox in this area, which is right next to the air horns or the velocity stacks. So now that I have it set up, I'm going to use a quick setting two-part epoxy that will cure in an hour, dries in 5 minutes to hold it together. Okay, so that's all cured, and it's one little piece. I've stuck it in here to kind of line it up to where I want it. It looks perfect. I'm gonna mark where that goes. Now with everything marked, I can go ahead and pull the entire airbox out and combine this piece and that piece by lamination. So next I'm working on the intake for the airbox, so where the air goes into the airbox. I have this pretty decent size velocity stack for a turbo, and I'm thinking I'm going to use this as a mold. So now I'm going to pull this off of the mold and send it down. I'll need to trim quite a bit. I don't actually need it that tall, but I'll put you on time lapse and you can check it out. So here's the airbox as it is right now. All right, and after lamination and attaching this to the back, you can see that the air should flow much more smoothly into the back of the airbox as it moves up to the front. With everything laminated on, the velocity stacks are inside. I'm going to take off the subframe and get some paint on it, on the welds, at least on the main triangle part, and go ahead and put that on for good along with the airbox. Now before I put this on, I wanted to show you that I put some reflective heat barrier tape on there because carbon is actually kind of conductive. It's more so than fiberglass. So I wanted to block the amount of heat going into the airbox. Not that that makes a huge difference at the skill level that I have, but hey. So here's an easy thing that probably any of y'all can do. You don't even need any special tools. As you can see, so this is the exhaust bracket that I made myself, and you can see how amazing the welds turned out. So it's ugly and I don't want it, but I thought, well, I should make it out of carbon fiber. So what I've done is I got some of the pre-pregnated carbon fiber that I have and lay that across there, just like that. And all I have to do is just keep it secure to itself, heat it up, and it will bond. And it's super lightweight and super strong. So let me get these put on and throw it in front of in the heat source, and then I'll show it to you when it's finished. And it'll look so much better than that nasty ass weld, and it'll be just as strong for what it's doing. It's just holding the can, so this is how it turned out. You can see the indentations of where the aluminum was, so that'll give me a good indication of where to drill the holes, and then I'll just trim along the edges where I would like it to be shaped, and I'll throw it on and I'll show you. There's a carbon fiber exhaust hanger. And with the carbon fiber exhaust hanger mounted, as well as the carbon fiber airbox in place, I feel really good about the progress this week. Everything on the back end is taken care of. I'll move on to bodywork next time, but I appreciate you hanging out with me and watching me throw some carbon together in a less than professional and kind of extra medium sort of way. I hope that this inspires you to do something cool.